MMO players are sick and tired. Let's see.
As someone who's been covering the MMORPG genre on YouTube for the past 10 years, I've noticed that in recent years the MMO community's attitude to new announcements, upcoming games and the genre as a whole has certainly shifted from being somewhat optimistic to more pessimistic. And who
Based, smart, and the way it should be, okay? There is no bigger issue, honestly, in gaming than just blind hype.
can blame them? I've noticed it especially in myself. A couple of years ago, whenever a new MMO was announced, I was excited to make content and dive into the details for basically every upcoming game in the genre. Nowadays though, I'm less quick to even cover newly announced upcoming releases because deep down, I know that there's a high chance they either won't make it to a full release or they'll struggle to maintain.
Actually, true. A lot of games that get announced just completely fall through the earth, and most of them that are made are just garbage, honestly.
A player base for longer than 1 year. In this video, I'm going to talk about why MMO players are growing sick and tired of the genre, as well as discuss if things will change anytime soon. But first, support the content by listening to today's sponsor, Watcher of Realms, the next-gen fantasy RPG that's redefining strategic combat on both PC and mobile. This game positive attitude to the genre nowadays than say 10 years ago is that in the past 8 years, not a single new MMO release has managed to break into the top 5 most played games in the genre and stay there for longer than a few months. The top 10 most popular MMOs are WoW, OSRS, Final Fantasy XIV, Black Desert Online, Albion Online, Guild Wars 2, ESO, EVE Online, MapleStory, and RuneScape 3. Most of the
EVE Online being one of the most popular games is kind of wild, honestly, because I'm not sure if this is true. The last time I heard EVE Online numbers, they were not great. They were between 5 and 25 K players. Not 25, but 20K players active every month. And mostly it was not even close to 20 or even 10. So, hearing that EVE Online, by the way, EVE Online is a great game. Very interesting if you're into that sort of stuff. Very cool and whatnot. But it's not the most popular game. That game requires a commitment, okay? Playing EVE Online is the same as getting a job, but much harder.
These MMOs are really old. Albion Online and BDO are the newest to secure spots in the top 10, with Albion releasing in 2017 and BDO
I'm so incredibly surprised that Albion is still a thing and actually popping off.
releasing in Korea back in 2014. MMOs are games that take a lot of investment, so whenever a new MMO does come out these days, in the back of your mind you're thinking, there's a 99% chance that 1 to 2 years from now this game will be dead, which is a really crappy feeling to have. We've seen this with games such as Throne and Liberty, New World, Corp.
Is Throne and Liberty actually dead? New World is dead, we talked about that. Let me actually check. Throne and Liberty. SteamDB. Verify if I'm human? Oh shit, it knows. Okay, here's Throne and Liberty. Throne and Liberty still has 10K players. Okay, I'm gonna share the screen. Give me a second. There we go. Still 10K players minimum and almost 20K players active peaks. This is kind of good. This is not bad numbers. Throne and Liberty has been in this state, by the way, pretty much honestly forever. Sure, 10K is not exactly the best amount of players to have when your all-time peak was 336,000 players, but I mean, it's not the worst. Also, Throne and Liberty took a very, honestly, long time to slowly collapse. I have talked about Throne and Liberty multiple times, and these graphs aren't honestly that bad. Look at this. October and until December, they still had 20% players, and then it was tides of whatever. Not a lot of people came back, but I mean, I don't think people ever come back for these types of releases, honestly. I'm not sure about that too much, but I don't think people really come back for these types of releases for games that did not become the top most played thing. So I would say that Throne and Liberty is still doing actually really, really good despite everything. Could it be doing better? Yes, but I think it's still doing honestly fine.
Pax Day, Arcade Unchained, Bless Unleashed, Bless Online, Brighter Shores, and many, many more. I guess this is another reason why nowadays people would rather invest times into the older games in the genre rather than play the newer stuff. Odds are, WoW, Final Fantasy XIV, and OSRS will still be here 5 to 10 years from now. The moment I started to enjoy the genre again was when I decided to just commit to the older games and stop looking for the next big thing. If a big new MMO comes out and it's a lot of fun, then great. If not, no worries, I'll be enjoying myself with old school RuneScape regardless. Another big reason
There's a big switch currently happening with a lot of streamers and whatnot going to play old school RuneScape. I haven't looked into it too much, but old school RuneScape is a good game. You can literally, there's so many. I think the reason why people like it is because it finally feels rewarding. Stuff you do in old school RuneScape, it feels rewarding, and not a lot of games do that any longer. You take, for example, World of Warcraft retail, but bro, you literally do not remember any items that you get in that game until maximum level like mythic rating or something like that. You do not give a shit what items you honestly get. It's kind of sad, really. And in old school RuneScape, you have so many potentially ways to progress your things. You know, the quest log, it's red, then you start doing it, it becomes green, and you want to see everything green. You know? The greatest equivalent to that probably is Lost Ark. Lost Ark was popping the fuck off for a very, very long time. Until my collection log was almost full. My collection log in Lost Ark was 99% complete, okay? I had pretty much done everything to 99% that was available in the game. All the islands, all the Una tasks, all the everythings. I had all of it. I had almost finished 100% of the game at the point. But when I did that, that's when it became boring and repetitive. And in RuneScape, you need to do a lot of things before it becomes boring and repetitive. I honestly think RuneScape 3 is not a bad game also. I just think it's really, really, really hard to figure out what you want to do in that game and what actually matters. Because leveling in old school RuneScape does not matter.
why people are sick and tired of new MMOs is that they've
I mean, in RuneScape 3, it doesn't matter.
seemingly hit a point where they objectively haven't massively improved or innovated in the past 10 years. When it comes to action combat, the gold standard is still Black Desert Online, a game that took 4 to 5 years to develop and released in 2014. No other MMO has action combat anywhere near the level of BDO. For tab targeting, World of Warcraft is still the gold standard in terms of fluidity and responsiveness. We frequently get
Remember when everyone tried to make games that were not tab targeting because tab targeting is bad, and now everyone's making tab targeting again because, yeah, tab targeting turns out is really good? I never understood why everyone wants to make some kind of action combat shizzle vizzle without targeting, okay? I never understood that.
modern MMOs releasing nowadays with worse combat than what existed 10 to 20 years ago, and it's hard to wrap your head around why. It feels like we're going backwards. Games like Bitcraft, Pax Day, Quinfall, Embers of Drift,
Oh, PAX Day is still a thing. Last time I checked, PAX Day was kind of scam tier.
Unleashed, and Core Punk all have dog tier combat that makes you question how they even released in that state. Even Korean MMOs in recent years seem to have forgotten how to design good combat. Korean devs used to be masters of
Lost Ark is still easily some of the best combat in any game ever.
creating the best action combat in the genre, but recently we've had Throne and Liberty, a game heavily criticized for being clunky as hell. To be fair, the gameplay got a bit better with a few updates, but it's still nowhere near the level of World of Warcraft. Chrono Odyssey is another one. Recently did a beta test, combat wasn't great, people weren't impressed, needs a lot of
Chrono Odyssey is way worse than anyone reviewed it. Honestly, Chrono Odyssey is not even a game at this point.
work to even be passable. And
I don't think it will be because the devs are lying about a lot of stuff.
Latest Korean slop MMO to be announced at G-Star called Architect. Clearly, mobile, PC, console, cross-platform based on the user interface, every ability, heavy static animation locks, clunky movement, janky animations. You can tell just by looking at it that the gameplay is complete arse. Bellatorus, another upcoming Korean MMO. Granted, it looks a bit better than Architect, but still, it really
This already looks like an asset flip.
doesn't look that great, does it? The dodges especially just look atrocious. This is what I mean about upcoming MMOs seemingly not progressing or straight up going backwards compared to what was releasing a decade ago. As someone who reviews MMOs, it feels like during my pros and cons sections, it's very rare that I'll list gameplay and combat as a pro for modern MMO releases. I think Ashes of Creation is probably the only recent exception here, as that does feel like an evolution to the combat in Guild Wars 2.
Ah, Ashes of Creation, and the game my children's are gonna be able to probably donate $2,000 for a Beta Alpha Zeta Zeta 2 key. Right there next to Star Citizen, boys. Yeah, Ashes of Creations is just a meme. It's not happening. I think Ashes of Creations is gonna just listen. People are saying, oh, Ashes of Creations is gonna launch in like 2 years. Bro, Ashes of Creation is not gonna launch in 10 at this rate.
If you look at other gaming genres, Souls-likes, survival, turn-based RPGs, anime gacha games, ARPGs, and FPS, these genres have seen huge innovations and improvements over the past decade.
Have they?
In ways that the MMO genre has not. The difference between games released 10 years ago for these genres compared to now is night and day. Across the board, you've got better graphics, smoother gameplay, more spectacle, new types of content, new progression systems, better animations, and new innovative systems. The top 10 games in each of these respective genres has fluctuated much more than the top 10 games in the MMO genre. I actually think there's multiple reasons why the MMO genre hasn't really progressed as much as other gaming genres though. Just to name a few, you've got the rise of mobile gaming in the mid-2010s. I think this set the MMO genre back heavily. Developers saw that mobile games had the potential to make infinitely more money than PC games for a fraction of the development cost, and as a result, many of the top MMO developers shifted their focus to mobile games or mobile PC console crossplay, which inevitably results in a worse gameplay experience as you've then got
I'm not gonna lie. Have you ever seen someone play Genshin Impact? Bro, that's not even a game, okay? And, like, there's no gameplay in Genshin Impact. And it's so popular. I mean, all of these gacha games, they have no... It's just opening loot boxes, okay? Go to a casino or something else.
design a game to be playable with mobile screen
Not advocating for that stuff, YouTube. Relax, Jesus.
size restrictions and limited inputs. The success of the free-to-play, pay-to-win and pay-for-convenience business models, starting all the way back in MapleStory, has caused more and more developers to design games in a way that they'd create problems to then sell you solutions on the cash shop. I believe that the popularity of transmog systems turned out to be a bad thing for the genre as a whole, as for most games it results in a diminished sense of vision.
Wait, what do you mean? You don't want to pay Blizzard $100 for a map? What do you mean?
Visual progression during leveling, as well as developers being incentivized to make the coolest outfits cash shop cosmetics rather than earned through in-game achievement. And finally, I believe that MMO developers have for the most
If you're gonna buy Blizzard slop, I'm not gonna lie, you deserve it.
part taken the wrong design path for the past 20 years. The success of World of Warcraft resulted in many games taking the theme park MMO route, where MMOs are only as big as their latest expansion or content patch. Everyone's trying to catch up and get to the end game as soon as possible, and as soon as you stop playing for a few months, your progress and accomplishments have been invalidated by the new content. Your previous best in slot raid gear is now equivalent to that of catch-up gear, obtainable in a few hours. The rising popularity of old school RuneScape in the past few years has shown me that the design path MMO devs should have taken was that of the curated sandbox.
I'm not gonna lie, okay? RuneScape is a good game. I played it as a kid. I still like it, honestly, now. But I'm more of RuneScape 3. Because RuneScape 3 is all about killing bosses and making your bank go up. It's not actually about leveling skills. It's about getting like a 1,000 billion kills in a log or something like that. That's what RuneScape 3 honestly is about. I kind of like it. I dig it. But old school RuneScape is actually a cope in one sense. It has become extremely bloated. Now, it's not even close to how RuneScape 3 is bloated, where you need a map for your map of a map of a map to figure out what activity you actually should be doing right now, or what's even worth doing in the game to begin with. But old school RuneScape is kind of getting the same, because it's slowly starting to encounter the same problem that RuneScape 3 had, aka level 99 is no longer good enough because you introduce new content. And RuneScape, old school RuneScape, has been doing it in a very great way because, they introduce new content. And this content drops an item that's like, I don't know, of the mage attack style. And it's really good at killing demons. Like, it's the best at it, in fact. And it's not the best item per se in everything, but it's the best item at killing demons, which makes it special. But I mean, RuneScape is gonna run out of these options sooner or later. Their old school RuneScape is already running out on these options. So soon, there's gonna be a lot of problems because again, they're running out of things to make. Things that don't just obliterate already existing content.
Timeless design where new content only adds to the world and doesn't invalidate the previous content. In all fairness, despite everything I've said in this video, making MMOs is clearly game development on extreme hard mode. These games take years to make, they cost the most to develop, and you're competing with older games that not only have 10 to 15 years of live content development over you, but they've also got heavily invested player bases that aren't going to be so quick to jump ship to another game due to years of time investment.
I don't know, I think most people are jumping ship now day after day, okay? You're playing Guild Wars 2, you get bored, well, it's time to play the new hype release. Play it for 1 week, that's it, back to Guild Wars. That's just how things seem to actually go now.
Huge MMOs from big studios often get cancelled. To name a few, we've recently had the untitled ZeniMax Online MMO get cancelled, Hytale was cancelled, even with the support of publisher Riot Games, EverQuest Next, the Marvel MMO, the Riot
LOL, the Marvel MMO, and EverQuest Next.
MMO had to restart development, Blizzard's Project
Oh, yeah, we talked about this because the people who made it originally left Riot, and, well, they were forced to restart it. But now the people who left Riot, we haven't talked about this in a long time, but dude, if there's an MMO that has a chance at making it big, it's the Riot MMO. The League of Legends world is pretty good. It's pretty fleshed out. It has conflicts. It's interesting.
Was initially an MMO before being reworked into Overwatch. Then we've got countless Kickstarter MMOs like Chronicles of Valeria, Camelot Unchained, Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, and far too many to even mention that either ran out of money, went through development.
Listen, I'm gonna be real with you boys. I just want Rift 2. That's it. Rift is probably my all-time favorite MMORPG. I liked Rift so much.
Hell, or are still in development.
Is there any hope? No. Anyway, that was the lazy beyond 10 out of 10. Bye!